Between 1995 and 1996, the islands of Zanzibar experienced a documented period of mass civil distress. It was centered on reports of an entity known as the Popobowa. In Swahili, the name means batwing. While it is often categorized as folklore, the events of the mid-90s were treated as a legitimate security and medical crisis by local authorities. This was not a series of ghost sightings in the woods. These were reports of home invasions occurring in densely populated urban centres like Stone Town. The phenomenon resulted in thousands of people refusing to sleep indoors. The psychological impact was so severe that it altered the daily behaviour of an entire population for months. Descriptions of the Popobowa are consistent across decades of reports. According to witnesses, the entity possesses a specific set of physical and sensory traits. Roughly 1 to 1.5 metres tall, the morphology of a humanoid torso with large leathery wings. Most reports specify a single large eye in the centre of the face. A sharp chemical smell, described as sulphur or rotten organic matter. A rhythmic scraping sound like claws on corrugated iron or stone. The behaviour of the entity is highly specific. It targets victims at night within their homes. The attack usually follows a set pattern. The victim experiences a sudden intense weight on their chest, making breathing difficult. They realise they are physically paralysed. The entity performs physical or sexual assault. Before leaving, it speaks to the victim, demanding they tell others about the encounter. This last detail, the demand for publicity, is a unique feature of the Popobowa. It creates a self-replicating cycle of fear. If a victim remains silent, they believe the entity will return. If they speak out, they spread the fear to their neighbours. During the 1995 outbreak, the island of Pemba was the first to report high numbers of incidents. The panic moved quickly to the main island of Unguja. The social response was unprecedented. Residents stopped sleeping in their bedrooms. Instead, entire communities moved their mattresses into the streets and open courtyards. They believed the Popobowa only attacked those who were alone or in the dark. Men took turns staying awake, armed with machetes and heavy sticks. The tension led to several instances of mob violence. Anyone perceived as acting strangely or appearing as a stranger in a village was at risk. In one documented case, a man was attacked by a crowd because they believed he was the Popobowa in human disguise. The government and local police were unable to provide a physical explanation. The entity was never captured, photographed, or physically restrained, yet the physical injuries, bruising and rib pain reported by victims were real. There are two main primary frameworks used to explain the Popobowa: the medical and the socio-political. Physicians point to sleep paralysis. This occurs when the brain enters or exits REM sleep, while the body remains in a state of atonia, temporary paralysis. During these episodes, the intruder hallucination is common. People often see a dark figure or feel weight on their chest. In Zanzibar, this universal biological experience is interpreted through the lens of local shaitani or spiritual beliefs. Sociologists note that the Popobowa outbreaks often coincide with periods of intense political stress. In 1995, Zanzibar was undergoing its first multi-party elections, a time of high tension and rumours. However, these theories struggle to explain the contagion aspect. Sleep paralysis is usually an isolated event. It does not typically happen to hundreds of people in the same neighbourhood on the same night. The Popobowa has not been reported in large numbers since the early 2000s. It is currently considered dormant, but for those who lived through the 1995 or 2007 outbreaks, the entity remains a tangible part of the island's history. It is a rare example of how a singular monster can dictate the movement, architecture, and safety protocols of a modern society. Even today, in rural parts of Pemba, the smell of sulphur at night is enough to keep a family from sleeping. The question remains, is the Popobowa a physical creature that appears when the island is in turmoil, or is it the name Zanzibar gives to its own collective anxiety? The patterns suggest it will return, whether you view it as a medical anomaly or a supernatural entity. The impact on those who experience it is identical. Do you think a physical creature could remain hidden for decades between outbreaks? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.